I can step back and share a little bit more of the context, how the Center for Digital Business originated. Uh, Back in last spring, right? So much of the country and the world was horrified by what happened with George Floyd and Breonna Taylor, and just the number of tragedies to befall among Black Americans at the hands of police officers and others. That there's a sudden recognition, right? A stark recognition for many people that the promise of racial justice had not been met in the country, and that there was an incredible amount of marginalization, and there were still very vulnerable communities that didn't have the same access to resources and opportunity as the majority did, right? And that for many of us, we knew this already, but it hadn't been such stark relief as it was at that point last year. And uh, individuals were marching in the streets, and people were trying to think, what can they do to try to correct these wrongs? And it was no different for companies. And at HubSpot, we thought a lot about this. I thought a lot about this. I'm the most senior Black leader in the company, speaking to our employees and saying, like, we have an incredible business. We have an incredible set of individuals at this business who have this talent and have these resources at our disposal. What can we do distinctive to help address this issue more than what we could do individually? How can we bring our collective capabilities to solve this in some kind of special and some kind of unique way? We could write checks, but a lot of people can write checks. We can volunteer our time generally. A lot of people can volunteer our time generally. What do we know as a business? What we know is how to help small businesses grow through sales, through marketing, through better service. Right? We know entrepreneurship really well, and we know how to educate leaders and business aspiring business leaders on those areas. Let's take some of that to address this problem in front of us. Let's take the HubSpot educational partner program where we're already working with campuses, we're already working with aspiring business leaders, and let's focus that in an area that has a opportunity to amplify and magnify the impact in the Black community in America to provide more access and more opportunity. Well, one place where we can do that is at Howard University. Howard University, for the last 150 years, has been producing leaders across a wide range of industry, whether it's the first Black Supreme Court justice, or first Black governor, or first Black district attorney of many states, or the first Black mayor of New York, or the first Black vice president than Kamala Harris, right? All of it originated out of Howard. And it's the same thing in the business arena. And we can take HubSpot's understanding of helping businesses to grow and bring that onto the campus, right? Where the Center for Digital Business is now this edifice, this space that we now have on campus that is dedicated to digital business opportunity for the next generation of Black leadership, right? It's saying that the future of business is digital. We all hear Mark Andreessen saying software eats the world, right? We know that the future of business is digital, but on college campuses, often they're still learning ways of marketing that were this kind of textbook way. It's really different. It's the way of the past, right? We still would think of sales of, what's this? The sales tools. Sales is very different in the world of Zoom. Sales is very different in the world of CRM, right? Sales is very different in this world where you're selling software and you're selling products in a way that has to be technology enabled. And so that's what the Howard Center for Digital Business is. It is the kind of the epitome of bringing that together. Now, it's very tactically, what does it actually do, right? So there's three major areas. One is providing education. So working with faculty members, where these faculty members, they're incredible, but many times they earned their PhD 10, 20, 30 years ago in a field that's changing very rapidly, and having access to industry to teach what's actually going on in the field, how are practices actually changing inside of technology companies. They actually have to talk to industry to learn this. And so we are bringing both HubSpot as well as the rest of industry together to actually work with faculty, whether it's coming to campus and actually looking at their curriculum, looking at their training guides, or externships where they're coming to our campuses and actually embedded inside of our organizations to see our workflows, to see how we actually are operating day to day and being able to bring that back to students. So that's the first thing is this curriculum and actual education. The second thing is exposure and job readiness, right? And so many students are very familiar with the large tech companies. They interact with them. They're on TikTok. They're on searching Google. They're on Instagram. They might not be as familiar with how does a knowledge base work for a B2B company. Right? They might not be quite so aware of how does a marketing automation workflow work for a business. And there's multi-billion dollar, think about the number of $100 billion plus businesses that exist for B2B software, for enterprise software, that these students don't have the insight and experience with, because you wouldn't get that just being in your day-to-day student life. But there's business opportunities for them that they need to be aware of, and aware of the business existence and the various roles inside of the business. Aware of what does it mean to be a product manager? What does it mean to be a product marketer? And how are those two things different? What does it mean to be a project manager, right? And some of these things that we just take for granted inside of the industry, they're not so familiar with. And they need to have exposure to what those different roles are and what the different capabilities and paths to success for them are. So once they have that education and then they have the exposure, actually having access to industry through recruiting is the third part. Actually bringing companies to campus and bringing students to companies so that linkage can be made. That's the third thing.